So I think the first question which needs to be addressed is what is the need to introduce a new law? We've always had a law which is more than 30 years, and whenever you talk about liability in India, corporates have never taken it very seriously. 30 years back, the situation was very different. There were different industries, different consumers. Time has changed completely, and India needs to get international, and this law intends to do that, to protect consumers. India has lagged behind a lot in terms of having any kind of consumer protection laws in place. Though mind you, this law has also taken 10 years for it to come into existence. The first person who will be, category of people who will be impacted by this law would be the corporates who are doing regular business in India, including MNCs. The reason being that if there is a non-compliance in terms of this law, there are very stiff penalties, including imprisonment. For example, what would be a game changer for the industry? And this will be cutting across sectors. There is a concept which has been introduced under the new law which talks about recall. Now, India never had a recall policy to begin with. So, for example, we all know about the Maggi Nestle controversy which happened a couple of years back, and the entire brand was diminished and there was a huge loss which happened. In a sense, this is a good law because if tomorrow the government wants to institute any kind of an investigation, they will have to comply with the law, and there is adequate representation which can be given to somebody against whom a complaint has been given to. Second point, which is very important, is there is a concept of product liability. This again was never existing under the earlier law. Third issue which would be very relevant is now if you are making a claim on your product, then for those endorsements, they have to be very valid. If they are not, then you are opening yourself up to a host of penalties and investigations. The CCPA, which is going to be coming into existence, if that acts as a regulator, like a watchdog, like similar to the SEBI or the IBC, which has been very successful, then in that case we may see a lot of investigations, and those could be pretty severe. Industries which would be impacted immediately across the sector would be e-commerce, because that is one industry which has been specifically captured in this legislation. Interestingly, a question which will arise is whether the healthcare industry would fall under this consumer protection law. The earlier bill which was introduced had a mention of healthcare, but there has been some kind of working behind the scenes to eliminate reference to healthcare within consumer protection law. Our view is that healthcare would fall under this, irrespective of the fact that there has been a deletion from the earlier bill which was tabled. I think it's high time that strategies to ring fence your contracts and the liability which is there is very, very critical to do at this point in time. Do a diligence. If you're doing an M&A, then it's very critical that you're looking at documents which are not, where contracts do not give you open-ended indemnity claims. So the practice would change significantly, and I think lastly, branding. Corporates need to be aware that if there is no ring fencing, then definitely your brand could get impacted because anyone can make a complaint. So you need to have a quick reaction team in place which deals with such situations.